Hi, Kerry. Really good session today. Hope you found it helpful. Just going to run through a couple of points now that we discussed in this session. Firstly, obviously due to that left shoulder that you said was getting a bit of a niggling, kind of this sort of area here now. I think mainly because the way that left wrist was actually working in the back. So if we look at your takeaway here now, setup position was very, very good. Stood the golf ball nicely. As the club started going back here, rather than your wrist kind of hinging, your left wrist bowed or sort of went underneath, as we can see here now. As you get to about this sort of position here now, we can see your left arm is kind of positioned here across your body, and then the left wrist sort of taking the golf club back behind you. As you continue that left arm movement, your left wrist now, the fact we can kind of see your left thumb and the gap there between your thumb and fingers should give indication of how sort of bowed and off position that left wrist is. The back of your left hand pointing somewhere up here now, when in reality you want that pointing back towards the camera. So I think personally, because of that, the gripping it too tight, the lack of rotation in the body, you can see your head's kind of sort of swayed off the ball there now. Take the golf club back, potentially could lie where the problem was in terms of your pain. I say it may not have caused it, but it's certainly not going to help it going forward. So in terms of that sort of position we're trying to get you into now, if we look on the right hand side, you can see the club goes back, just doing a hinge of the wrists now as the club sort of goes from sort of setup, as you sort of hinge those wrists up. Now from there, as we start turning the body, you can see at least now the back of your left hand at this point, we can see the sort of logo on your glove kind of pointing more towards the camera. And as we go to the top of the backswing there now, yes, it's a little bit bowed here now, which is to be expected, okay, because that's kind of what you're used to. But in terms of where your thumb is, sort of the more of the extension now of your left arm as opposed to that sort of hinge, a much better move. Now, in actual fact, believe it or not, when you actually hit the golf ball, it was an even better move, which generally speaking we find the other way. Normally people do the drill and get the drill better and then find they're sort of halfway between that with the old swing and the new swing. What you've actually done now when you set this golf ball, if we sort of show these positions just for your own checkpoint, left wrist there, very good. You can see the top of the backswing here now, a very, very good left arm position. I can still see now the logo on your left hand there, on your glove. That's a really, really good sign. And just generally the structure of that position on the right hand side, as we can see, far better now than that left hand side. I'm sure you can see now if you look at that left hand one, where potentially that pain may have been sort of manifesting itself somewhere around here. Depending on the type of golf, it could end up here, or anywhere really, but somewhere on that left arm is going to be aggravated by that technique. So by keeping that width now and that wrist hinging better, as we come back to the golf ball, you can see a much wider unhinging of the arms and wrists here now, and a lovely strike. You compare that movement now to this one as you come back to golf ball. Already your left arm is still very, very bent as you're coming in here now. You watch the movement now of your arms as you come through, all very tucked up, head staying down for me too long. You compare that position here post impact to kind of that position post impact, just where your left arm now is really tucked into your side, whereas this one has a much more of a sort of wider, much better width in this position as we go through. And again, as a result of that, a better turn with the body. So if we can get the body to rotate, get the wrist to hinge up, and then blend those two together, I'm sure you'll find your backswing position getting in a much more sort of efficient, hopefully pain-free position as you return that club back to the golf, and a much better strike, much more efficient, and actually a more powerful shot, because the turning of the body and the hinging of the wrist are the two power sources. You basically had kind of none of them in your backswing and was forced to just try and hit the ball as hard as you could, as I say, with probably quite a tense grip to start with. So work on those things there. So even if it's just sort of 5-10 minutes a day, get that feeling better. As I say, at the top of the backswing, what we're ideally looking for is your logo on your glove, rather than pointing back behind you, sort of pointing more towards where the camera would be here, or a mirror, or somebody watching from face on there. So hope that makes sense. Any questions, obviously give me a shout, Kerry, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.